Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. Welcome back to Sorup IT Solutions. Now, in this part 5 video, we will learn how to configure and manage SEPM, that is Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager version 14.3, reporting functionalities, and backup and disaster recovery. Okay, so topics we have covered so far in the previous 4 parts. So in the part 1 video we have covered the introduction of SEPM product, that is an SEPM management server. What is SEPM, what is SEPM management server, and we have done the server installation. In the part 2 video we have covered how to operate in SEPM console and how to manage your licensing, SEPM licensing. In the part 3 we have seen SEPM client management, how to install the clients on the end computer machines and how to update them with the latest virus definitions, live update functionalities. And lastly, in the part 4 we have learned about the SEPM security policies management, how to define your security policies, how to create new policies, how to manage the existing policies as for the securities of your client and server systems. Now in this particular part 5 video, we will practically execute following steps. So first we will do the SEPM reporting functionalities. Now within the SEPM reporting functionalities, what are the topics we are going to cover? So we will be running, customizing and saving the quick reports. Then we will be scheduling some reports. We will see how to schedule some reports which you might be requiring after, let's say, after every 4 hours or 6 hours or 24 hours, whatever it could have been the schedule. But we will see what are the options to schedule a particular report. And then the second major topic we will cover in this particular video is SEPM disaster and recovery options. If your SEPM server got completely wiped out, it got crashed, how to recover that SEPM management server. So within that topic we will see how to export and import your SEPM management server settings, then your SEPM management server database backup, how to do the database backup because we want to recover the database also, SQL database for the SEPM management server. And then we will see how to back up your SEPM management's disaster recovery file, that is your configuration file. And then we will be actually doing the actual disaster recovery with SEPM management server's reinstallation with our backup provisions. So let's start with this particular video. It will be a long video, so do watch it till end, but it will be an informative one also for you. So let's start with our practicals. So step 1 for this particular part 5 video, through main SEPM console, click on reports and then quick reports. So I am having all my 4 machines online as of now. As you can see, I will go back to my desktop and I am having all 4 machines online, that is my domain controller, SEPM, and then 2 client systems, Windows 10 and Windows 11. So I am going back to my SEPM server and I am opening the console, SEPM console, and as usual I am logging with the SEPM admin account, that is our domain account. So how I have configured this particular account for the SEPM login. If you want to learn, you can go back and see my previous video for the SEPM console management. So SEPM admin is one of the admin account through which I am logging to my SEPM console. So this is my current console. It is showing the latest status, whatever it could have been. Now going back to our practical step, we need to go to the reports and quick reports. So I'm going to the reports and I'm already in quick reports. Okay, so I'm just running one dummy report or one example report for you guys. So next step is select following criteria. So report type will be computer status. So we will select the computer status and then select a report, what kind of report you want to run, that is virus definitions distribution. So select a report, virus definition and distribution already selected, and then use a saved filter, so default. So you can go for the other options also, but the default is already taken up by the system. And the time range you can select over here is past 24 hours is a normal time range. So I'm just keeping it that. You can select the time range as you want to, past week, past month, current month, whatever you can, and you can select the specific dates also, from this date to this date. But as of now I'm just keeping it as past 24 hours as a default option. Okay, and then finally we need to click on click report. So create report. So I am creating the report and this is my report, and I can save it as an HTML by default, but I want to save it, let's say, as a PDF. So I will do one thing, I will say print and Microsoft print to PDF. Okay, and I will say okay. So it will ask me to save this report. I will save it in a desktop for our reference, a report, and that's it. So this is a kind of a manual report I have just copied. If I want to open it, I will directly open it and it will show me for the last 24 hours we have distributed our virus and definitions, latest virus and definitions. What are the date for that virus definition? 30th December. And how many machines received it? All the machines, all 4 machines received those latest virus definition distribution. Now this kind of report is usually useful for your production environment. Let's say you are having 500 client machines. How many client machines have received the latest definitions? You can run the report and you can view, and whichever machines are not received those reports, you can further try to find it out whether they are online, offline, what are the issue, whatever it could have been. So this is just a general basic example of running a quick report through your reporting functionalities of your SEPM console. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So view the contents of the report according to your criteria. So we have already done that. Now let's move on to the next functionality, as how you can schedule the reports. Okay, so next, again through main SEPM console, click on reports and then schedule reports and click on add. So I'm going back to my SEPM console. I'm already in reports, and here the second tab over here is schedule reports. So I will click on that and I will click on add. So here I can add a report criteria which I will be scheduling on a particular time schedule. Okay, so let's see how to create that report. So select following criteria. Report type is again computer status report. I will first give the name. Scheduled a report for computer status. Okay, and then report type I need to select as computer status report. And then select a report as virus definition and distribution. So it is already selected. So you can select any of these criteria. All the criteria are available, like computers not recently updated, then compliance status distribution, then your client software rollout, your client inventory details, any report type you can select. As of now, for this particular example, I am selecting virus definition. Okay, so it's the same kind of report what we have just run manually, and then use the saved filter as default. So I'm just keeping it as default, and then report schedule run every past 6 hours. So you can select past 1 hour also, 6 hours also, 4 hours also, whatever your intended schedule is there. Okay, so start after, currently it is 31st December 8/26, so it is currently taking this current time, but you can select whatever time you want. After that particular time, the scheduling will start, and after the first report, it will run for every 6 hours. Every 6 hours you will get this particular report on your send a report to system administrator. Now what does that mean? You will get that report on your mail ID which you have configured on your SEPM console. If you want to see how to configure your mail ID, you can go back to my previous video, or I will try to show you as of now. Let's see whether we can see it over here. So this is our server properties, and then your email, and if I'm clicking on administrator, you can see over here my email ID is I have already defined. Now on this particular email ID, my schedule reports will get delivered. Okay, every 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever schedule I may define, it will give a mail status on that particular mail ID. It will give me that particular report as an attachment. Okay, so you can schedule a particular report like that, whatever we have seen. So through which first you need to give the name, then the criteria you need to select, then run every 6 hours or 4 hours, whatever the timing from which you want to start that schedule, and send this report to system administrator. This will be your mail ID on which this schedule report every 6 hours. Let's say I have selected 6 hours over here, so every 6 hours it will deliver me that particular report. Okay, and what are the different types of report you can select? You can see audit reports, application and device control, then computer report, computer status report, network host exploit migration report, risk report, scan report, system report. All those types of reports are there. So if I'm selecting any other report, let's say scan report, it will automatically go for that particular reports types subcategories. So scan report, what kind of scan report you need? Scan statistic, then computers by last scan type, computers not scan, and all these things. So all those categories and reports and sub reports you can define, and you can schedule it according to your schedule, and it will be getting delivered on your intended mail ID. So this is a schedule report kind of an functionality over here. Okay, so I hope you understood the reporting ones. It's not a rocket science, it's a simple thing. As and when you are doing it practically every day, you will get more feel of it. Okay, so this completes our reporting functionalities part. So this will be our first part, which contains the reporting functionalities. So we have already done that particular scheduling report, and views the contents of the report once the report is obtained on your particular mail ID on the intended schedule. So this much part we have completed. So this is the first part of reporting 1. This has been completed. Now we will go for the second part, which is actually a backup and disaster recovery. Okay, so that will be a longer part. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Hello, welcome back to the next part. So in the first part we have covered up to the step number 8. Now we will move on to the next step. So now we will be actually doing our backup for our SEPM server. This will be a second part, and then in the third part we will be doing actual disaster and recovery. So the second part. So what will be our administrative checklist for SEPM backup and disaster recovery? So what we will be actually doing in this particular whole module. So first we will be backing up the SEPM license file. Then we will do how to export and then import while we are doing the disaster recovery, how to export and then import the SEPM server settings that we will learn. Third, we will be backing up and restoring our SEPM server database. So I may sum up in a single line, but backing up is a one task and restoring while doing the disaster recovery is another task. So we'll be first backing up, and then while doing the restoration or the disaster recovery, we'll be restoring our database also. Then next we will be backing up our SEPM disaster recovery file also. That will be actually a most important configuration file from the SEPM management server. So we will be backing up that file also, and we'll be of course using it for restoration purpose. And then next is we will update or backup the SEPM server certificate also. That is an optional step, but we will do it. Then we will be actually saving our IP address and host name for our SEPM management server to a text file. This is also optional. If you are absolutely sure about your SEPM server's IP address and host name, that's fine, but it's always preferable that okay, maybe by the time of your server crashing, another guy is on a shift, so he don't know what is the server IP address and host name. So it's always advisable to get this also backup. Although this step may look very small step or very unnecessary step at time, but it is equally important. So it is optional, but we will do it. And the last step, we will be store the backup, this particular whole step number 1 to 6 backup data in a secure location, that is an alternate location. We will be not storing this backup on the local SEPM server, but on a location which is offside, which is a different location, which may be a network storage, which may be another server. So we'll be storing that backup data. Okay, so let's start. So first, now we will be creating a different share on our different server, because we want to save this backup data, whatever we are backing up, to a different network share. So what we will be doing, through Windows 2022 DC system, create a local folder as SEPM backup. So I am going back to my Windows 2022 DC machine, and I am going to C drive, and I am creating a local folder called SEPM underscore backup. Okay, this step by step we will see. Every step is important. Next step is we will share this particular folder, and we will be providing the sharing rights as everyone is equal to read and SEPM admin account full rights. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to properties, going to sharing, advanced sharing, and share this folder. It will automatically take the default folder name, but you can change the name also if you want to, but it's not necessary. So, and go to permissions. Now by default everyone is having read write, so I will be not changing this read rights, but I will be adding one more account like SEPM admin, check names, and I will give full rights to this particular share. Okay, say apply, okay, apply, okay, okay. Now this folder has been created. Now let's move on to the next step. Now we need to create some 5 to 6 subfolders inside this particular share. What are those folders? We will see. Now before creating the folders, what I will do is I will not go to the DC machine, I will go to the SEPM machine, that is my SEPM management server, and I will try, I will just cancel this, I will try to open that particular share from here only. So what I will do, win200dc, this is our server's host name. You can see this share has been created. We have given the full rights to the SEPM admin. So I will double click it and I will create the folders from here only, so that it will test my rights also. If I can create a folder inside this share, I am already having full rights because I have already logged in with the SEPM admin account, right? You can see over here my SEPM admin account session is active. So I am creating those folders directly from here, from the sharing path. Okay, this will test two things. First, whether you will be having a full rights and whether the share is working fine or not, right? So what are the folders we need to create? First folder we need to create as certificate. We'll create that. Next is database. Next folder is disaster recovery file. Next is your licenses. Then server host name and IP address. And one more folder we need to create, last one, server settings. Okay, so we have created how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 folders, 6 different folders for our SEPM servers, management servers backup. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So the first step what we are doing, we are backing up the SEPM licensing files. Okay, so through SEPM server, open the path, following path. Which path? C program files, x86, Symantec endpoint protection manager, inet pub and license. Okay, so I will open this path from SEPM server. Let's minimize this also, and I will go to C drive, then program files x86. Let's verify that path one more time. Symantec endpoint protection manager. Go to Symantec endpoint protection manager, then inet pub. Under that there is a folder called license. Okay, and there is one random numbering folder. I will go inside that, and you can see there are 3 license files are there, .slf, .slf, .slf. Okay, I will copy all those 3 ones, but let's move on to the next step first. So copy all 3 .slf license files from subfolder to our share SEPM backup licensing folder, right? So I will copy this and I will go back to my share where we have just created our folders, and I will go back to licenses and I will paste this. So continue. Okay, so you can see all the 3 licensing files are copied from our SEPM server. This will be our first backup. How to restore them, that we will do while we are doing the disaster recovery mode. Okay, so this is the backup step number 1. So you can see over here from the original location the 3 files I am copying to my SEPM backup licensing folder. Okay. Next, exporting the SEPM server settings. What are the settings? Suppose you have created 10 number of policies which are new, and you are reinstalling the SEPM. That means no policies are there. So how to recover all those policies, how to recover all those rules, how to recover all those schedules, how to recover all those reports, criteria and all? So through server settings. So we will be backing up our server settings also. Okay. So how to back up that SEPM server setting? So through SEPM server, SEPM admin console, go to admin, servers, local site, and then SEPM server name and export server settings. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to my SEPM server. I'm going to my console. I will go to my servers. I will go to first admin and then go to servers. And here are two servers. Now both names are similar, so don't get confused. One server is your SEPM management server and one server is your database server, the second one. So we don't want to go for the database server as of now. Go to the management server, that is first server, SEPM. And you can see over here there are options: import server properties and export server properties. As of now I am exporting the server properties, so I will click on export server properties. Okay, so you can see over here by default it is taking site SEPM server properties .xml. So let it be like that only. Let's move on to the next step by the time. So exporting the SEPM server settings. So next is save this SEPM server settings file in following location. So what location? We have already created that location. If you remember, we have created the folder as server setting. I want to save that particular XML into that particular sharing folder, right? So what I will do is I will go back to my, I will close this, go back to my share DC, get this share and server settings. I will go back to this path. Let it be like that, this only. Let's see, sometimes it is not taking. What I am doing is I am just exporting it on desktop first. Let it export in desktop. I will say export. Okay, so Symantec endpoint protection exported the server properties. I will say okay. I will go to this setting, desktop, and now you can see this XML has been exported. I'm simply copying it and pasting it in the network share SEPM backup server settings option, right? So this we have copied these settings of our SEPM server and stored on our network location, right? Let's move on to the next step. So this is the backup step number 2. Next is we need to back up our SEPM server database. Now this is the important step. Okay, so through SEPM server console, through admin, through servers, local site, again database site name, and then click backup database now. Now what does that mean? I will just explain you for you guys. I'm going back to my SEPM console, admin, then servers, we are already there. Now the second one is our database. Although the name is similar, don't get confused. Second one is our database. So you can see over here, this is the database server. Now we need to back up our database, right? Now how to back up this database? There is an option, backup the database now, right? So by default the backup location is, let's move on to the PowerPoint again. This is C program file Symantec endpoint protection manager data backup. By default it is automatically taking the backup. You can schedule that particular backup, the database backup. How to schedule that backup we will see it later on, but let's move on to the site where this particular backup is already been stored. Let's see whether it is having any existing backup. So I'm going to program files x86 Symantec endpoint protection manager. data, and let's see what is the rest of the path. Backup, in the backup, and you can see there is already a backup in a zip format which is on 25th of December, that is 5 to 6 days back, and the timestamp over there is 8:37. Now this database is not useful for me because today is 31st December. Happy New Year to you all in advance, but this is 31st December and this is 6 days older backup, so I don't need that. So how to get the latest backup? Now here is the trick. I am taking the latest backup. How to do that we will see in the next step. So next step is, first you need to click the backup database now. From the database site, click backup database now. So what I am doing is, I have already gone to the backup database server. I will say backup database now, and I will say, are you sure you want to backup the site at this time? Yes sir. I will say yes. So backup has started. Backup will reside in the following location. So it is giving you the location also. See program files x86. We have already seen that particular location. This is the location, and you can see it has already started the backup, right? But it is not yet completed. Okay, so we will not touch it as of now. You can see over here in the log file what it is showing. One time backup initiated by SSM user admin, and now one time backup finished successfully. Okay, so it took hardly a minute to copy this database backup, right? So this is finished. Now if I'm going back to my backup location, you can see the latest one is 31st December 8:51. That is current time. It is 8:52 now, but this is current time, right? 1 minute back. So now this particular backup is the latest one, correct? So do remember to take always a latest backup. If you are having the option for manual, the option which I have just shown you, you can take it as one. If you want to schedule these backups, you can schedule those backups also. I will show you how to schedule those backups on an intended time, right? So as of now, I'm just showing you the option how to schedule those backups also. So how to schedule your regular SEPM database backup? There is an option. I'm going to the admin and I'm going to the servers, and here this is my SEPM management server. I don't want to go for that. This is my database server. And in the database server, once you click on that, there is an option called edit database properties, and under that there is an option called backup settings, and here schedule settings, schedule the backups. So backup frequency you can define daily, weekly, whatever you want to, hourly, and then you can define the start time. So let's say every day I want to start the backup, my database backup, by 7:40 p.m. that is 1940. So I can define that time. You can define your time, whatever you want to, and you can say okay. So every day it will run the SEPM backup on that particular time. This is daily. If you want hourly also, if you want weekly also, whatever option you may choose, right? After the backup is completed or the schedule has been run, this backup will get stored in this particular location. By default it is going to this particular location. So that date and timestamp will be there, December 31st 2024 and then 2051. So this is our latest database backup, what we have done manually, but I can schedule it also as I have just showed you, right? So this is my latest SEPM database backup. Let's move on to the next step. So we have already noted down that location, the local location, C program files, right? And then backup SEPM server database. So through SEPM server, go to the following location as per backup log. So we have already seen this location, C program files x86, Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager, data, backup. I'm already in this particular path, right? This is a local path you can see over here. By default, your database backup is store over here. Now the point for consideration over here is your local SEPM server should have that much storage to store your data. Currently my setup, this lab setup is already having 4 clients, so the database is around about 1 GB. You can see the size of it is 1.8 GB, so it is just about less than 2 GB, but you should have this much space available locally for your semantic server, right? And you should be cleaning up your previously stored backups copies also time to time, otherwise your storage will get full, right? So these are the 2 things which I have observed in operations you should be taking care of, right? So we have already gone to this particular location, and now we will copy this particular latest database backup what we have just taken 2 minutes back, and copy this database backup zip file in following location. So we have already created one folder called database, right, in SEPM backup. What I am doing is copying this one, this is the latest one, copy, and I will go to, from here only I will go to dc.share in the database, and I will say paste. So you can see our database has been backed up in a network location, right? So this is the backup number 3 we have taken. Now next step is backing up your SEPM disaster recovery file. Now this is the important step. Now what this disaster recovery files all is about, it is all about your configuration of your SEPM management server in an encrypted format. So through SEPM server, open the following path. So we need to again go to the local path, 3 program files, x86 semantic endpoint protection manager, server private key backup. Okay, so I will close this first, and I will go to the local path, C program files x86 semantic endpoint protection manager, and then server private key backup. Right, now let's see, copy the recovery file with the timestamp zip file to your SEPM backup disaster recovery file folder. So what I am doing is I am copying this recovery file. There are 2 files, but this is a different certificate file. We'll take the backup of this one also to a different folder, but as of now we need to take the backup of this recovery file. I will say copy, and then I will open my share location one more time, SEPM backup and disaster recovery file, go inside that folder and copy this. This is backup number 4 we have taken, right? So I have put in the screenshots also over here from the original path to your network location path. So next is backing up your SEPM server certificate, right? So through SEPM server, open again your local path, like C program files x86 semantic endpoint protection manager, server private key backup. So it's the same path, we have just seen it. It's the same path but a different zip file, right? And now we need to copy the second file, the server cert backup zip file, to our SEPM backup SEPM certificate folder, right? So I will copy now this certificate backup zip file. I will go back to my network location, and you can see the certificate folder over here. I will copy here. Simple. Okay, server certificate backup and certificate folder, right? Next is backing up your SEPM server's hostname and IP address settings. So this is a simple step, but it is equally important. It is although optional step. So through SEPM server, save your server's IP and hostname configuration in a text file and save it in our storage location. So there are various ways through which you can do it. I am doing it on a simpler way. I am already on SEPM server, right? And this is our folder which is currently not having any file. What I am doing is opening command prompt, and here first I am typing hostname. It is giving me the hostname, and now I am typing ipconfig /all. Hostname ipconfig /on. Right? Now hostname is SEPM and your IP configuration is this. So what I will do is I will simply put a selection over here, right click, so it has been copied. I'm creating a new text file over here, SEPM _IP hostname. You can give any name, but I'm just giving it as per my preference. Double click on it and just say test until V. So it has taken all the inputs. Your hostname is this, your IP is this, everything, your default gateway DNS and all these things, right? Now I am closing this, saving this. Simple. So we have taken the backup of our SEPM servers IP and hostname. Let's move on to the next step. Now we have taken the backup of everything. Now we will be actually going for our disaster recovery mode. Okay, so shut down the SEPM server through Hyper-V console. So what I am doing is, this is my SEPM server. I am shutting it down completely. Log off this thing and shut down. Okay. Now if I am going back to my Hyper-V console, you can see over here my SEPM server is turned off. Okay. So we are actually now going for the disaster scenario and then recovery of our SEPM server. Okay. Hello, welcome back. So we have shut down the SEPM server until the last part. Now let's move on to the next step. So in the next step, through Windows 2000 DC Server Manager, Active Directory users and computers, we need to go to the computers container and delete the SEPM computer account. Okay, so I will go to the Windows 2022 DC machine and I will open Server Manager and go to Active Directory users and computers. And I am just expanding the domain container, and under the domain container there is a container called computers, right? Under the computers you can see there are 3 computer accounts are there. So I need to delete this SEPM computer account. Okay, so let's say yes. Okay, why I am doing this? Because we need to format our SEPM server and we need to reinstall our OS, and we need to again give the same host name, and again we need to join to the our Active Directory domain. Okay, so if it is already having our duplicate computer account, it will not allow. So just to furnish that one, we have just deleted in advance. Okay, don't take it as in your let's say real practical operations scenario, but if you want to join the machine with the same host name, then obviously you should be deleting your existing one. So this is completed. The next step is I need to map the Windows 2022 server OS to SEPM VM settings DVD-ROM and boot from the same. So I will minimize this. I will go to the SEPM machine which is shut down. I am going to file settings, and in the DVD-ROM I will give my Windows 2022 server OS. You have to excuse me because there are a lot of fireworks going on for the new year. I'm just closing down. Anyways, so I'm just mapping the latest operating system. I will say apply, and in the boot sequence I will give this DVD-ROM as a first boot device. I will go first boot device, apply, OK. Right, now let's move on to the next step. So next step is we need to start the VM and we need to start our Windows 2022 server OS. And once it is started, we need to delete all the partitions, C drive partitions, and we need to reinstall the 2022 server OS. So we will take this scenario as our disaster recovery. Let's say this SEPM is completely wiped out, crashed, or formatted, whatever you may call it. So I'm just going further with the normal operating system setup, Windows 2022. Normal inputs, I don't have a product key. Accept the agreement and go to custom. Now these are the existing partitions, and you can see there is no secondary drive as such. All the drive 0 means one drive only. So I will delete all of them, and let's take this particular scenario as our disaster recovery. Okay, delete. Now drive 0, unpartitioned space, unallocated space 100 GB, and I will say next. Now I'm just reinstalling the Windows 2022 operating system. Okay, so this machine is completely wiped out now. Okay, as of now. So let this particular operating system be completed. It will take 15-20 minutes. So I'm pausing this video for that particular time period, and once this OS installation completes, I will come back to you with the further steps. Okay. So welcome back. Our OS installation is just about to finish. I'm just restarting it. Let's complete the OS installation in next 2 minutes, and then we will move on to our next step. So, the VM is getting restarted. Sorry. So it is asking for setting up your admin password, just a normal OS installation. So this is done, and now I'm logging with the admin account. Sorry. So by the time it is booting, let's move on to the next step. So next step is login with the local administrator account and disable your Windows firewall on SEPM server. So just logging. say yes over here, just miss them. And then first of all I will disable the internet access as of now, because we don't require it as of now. So there are two network adapters, one is your domain network and one is your internet connectivity. So I'm just disabling the internet connectivity, let it be. And now some couple of settings. I will go to the control panel and I will disable the Windows firewall, because sometimes even with your internal connectivity domain joining, it is not allowing, so we don't want to get into that one. So disabling the firewall. Next step is we need to assign the original IP address to SEPM server, right? So what was the original IP? If you remember, we have taken the backup of the IP of SEPM server. So I'm going to that share and I will say server hostname and IP address, and you can see the original IP was a static one for domain connectivity 10.1.1.10. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to my machine and I'm disabling the IP6 and I'm giving the original IP 10.1.1.10. Subnet mask automatic, default gateway 10.1.1.100 and DNS also 10.1.1.100, right? Let's re-verify it. Yes, so default gateway DNS same 10.1.100, and now I will say okay. I will say yes, cancel this, because it has resetted our network connectivity. Okay, so now it can access. Okay. So this step is completed. Let's move on to the next step. I'm going slowly by pace, step by step. I'm explaining each and every step. So might be this video is a bit longer, but I would prefer you to stay with me, because every step is important to understand. Okay. So now next step is we need to join this server to our domain, SECMCB lab domain. Okay. So I will go to the system properties, and here go to advanced system properties. First of all, I'm just making it as adjust for best performance. This is my normal standard practice. I'm going to computer name. You can see it's a random name now, so I will change to original host name, which was SEPM only, and the domain I will give SECMCBLab.local. Okay. Now if you remember, we have deleted this computer account in the Active Directory. This is why we have deleted, because if it was already present, then it will not allow us to rejoin with the same host name. So I have deleted this previously. Okay, so this one, and I will say okay. Now it is asking me for the password, so I am giving the SECM admin password. It has already joined. We'll say okay, close, and I'm restarting it. It's a mandatory one. Okay, by the time it is restarting, let's see what is the next step. So next step is log in to SEPM system through SSM admin domain account and add it in local admin group. Okay, since we have joined to domain, now we are not using local admin account for login anymore, so I am adding this SSM admin account credentials. I'm logging through it. How can I log in with the SSM admin account on any workstation? Because that account is part of domain administrator account, basic of Active Directory. So anyways, let it load. We just don't show. Again, go to the manage server manager properties, don't show it at login. One more step we need to carry out. We need to adjust our time zone to the local time zone. So you can see over here, it is not allowing me to. It is taking US Pacific time. So if you are not logging with the local admin, it may not allow you to change the timings and such. So I'm having another way. Okay, this is just for you can get this kind of tips which may not be actually integrated in my PowerPoint steps, but it's best practice for me, so I'm just sharing with you. So Windows PowerShell ISE, right click, run as an administrator, and here you can type in a simple command to change your time zone. Okay, so what is the command? Set -time zone. You can see it is auto completing, and then space, and then upper stroke, and you can put in as India Standard Time and complete. You can see now, before hitting the enter, you can see this is US timing. I will hit enter now. Keep your eyes over here. I'm hitting enter, and now it is showing the correct. So it's 1st January 2025. Happy New Year to all of you. 1:28 AM. Okay, so these steps have been completed. Now the main step, we need to add this SEPM admin account to our local admin group. How can I add it? I will right click the start menu. I'll go to the computer management, and here I will go to the local users and groups administrator, and here I will add, put in SEPM admin, make sure the location is your domain, check names, and now apply SEPM admin. Okay, so this is done. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Now here comes the real recovery of your SEPM management server. So we will now perform following steps on SEPM system. What are those steps? We will first install the .NET 3.5 and .NET 4.8 features. Then we will install our SQL 2022 with default database settings and DB feature set. Then we will do some SQL memory and DB configuration and service rights for our SEPM admin. And then we will be actually reinstalling the SEPM product, that is our Semantic Endpoint Production Manager product management server. Then we will do our SEPM recovery configuration through disaster recovery file backup. Then we will be installing SQL database for SEPM product, that is, installing means re-importing our original database. If you remember, we have taken the backup of our database, so we will be again re-importing that SQL database. Next is SEPM original database restoration, of course, and then SEPM management server reconfiguration. What are those reconfiguration steps? We will see practically. And then re-importing our SEPM server properties also, that XML file. And then rerunning latest live update session and updating clients through SEPM management server. And then reinstalling SEP client on recovered SEPM management server. If you remember, we have already installed SEPM client also, the antivirus client also on our SEPM, but since now we have reinstalled, we have deleted everything including operating system, we need to reinstall that SEP client, so we will do that also. And lastly, we will be cleaning up the old SEPM server entries from SEPM management console. So these many steps are your, you can say that, master checklist for your SEPM management servers recovery. Okay, so let's do these steps step by step practically. And sorry, one more last is we will be reactivating or re-importing our SEPM licenses also, right? So that is also a last step for our recovery. So for this checklist, the first step is reinstalling your .NET 3.5 and 4.8. So on SEPM system, make your Windows 2022 data center ISO mapped. So that is already mapped because we have just reinstalled our operating system. So we will re-verify. Yes, this is already mapped, right? Let's move on to the next step. The next step is through SEPM system server manager, add roles and features, install .NET 3.5 and .NET Framework 4.8 and ASP.NET 4.8, right? Features. So I will go to the SEPM. I will open the server manager. This is one shortcut, server manager, to run, no space in between. And I will say add roles and features. Next. This is fine. This is also fine. It is giving us a correct FQDN and a correct IP address. This should be the correct one or plain one. No 169 or a dummy address or no random hostname, right? Next. We don't want to install any roles as of now. We'll go next. And in the features, I will select two features, .NET Framework 3.5, and I will expand this, and ASP.NET 4.8. .NET Framework 4.8 is already installed. So I will select ASP.NET 4.8, right? I will say next. Let's move on to the next step. The next step is we need to make sure that while installing the above .NET features, framework and ASP.NET 4.8, you are specifying the correct alternative installation source path as D drive sources SSX. So where D drive is your DVD ROM. So this is kind of a small step, but it is necessary because otherwise this installation will fail. So specify an alternate source path. So instead of going to the path, I will just type it manually, D sources SSX. Just say OK, and finally we can click install. So click install, and once installation finishes, click close to complete the features installation. So I'm just saying install, let it install. So our installation of .NET 3.5 and 4.8 is completed. I will say close, and just for the safer side, we will restart this machine. Okay, so next step is restart the system once installation done. It is advisable, if you are doing any major change to your server or to your client, always restart the machine once, even if it is not asking. That's what my 24 years of experience telling me. Windows operating systems. Anyways, so coming to the login screen, so I'm just logging with the SEPM admin account one more time, and this step is completed. Let's move on to the next step. The next step is we need to map our SQL 2022 server product ISO on SEPM VM system. So I will go to the settings, DVD ROM. I'm going to my SQL 2022 ISO. This one. It is integrated with latest CU16. So this is updated SQL version. If you want to learn how to integrate your latest community update with your SQL installation itself, you can see my previous videos on this particular topic. Next step is we need to start our SQL setup. So through SEPM system Windows Explorer, start SQL setup through d setup.exe. So it is d drive and setup.exe. Just starting. Next is once SQL setup wizard starts, click on installation and new SQL Server standalone installation. Click on installation and new SQL Server standalone installation. By the time it is loading, let's move on to the next step. So once SQL 2022 installation wizard starts, on edition window select your SQL edition and product key if you are having one, and license acceptance, and click next. So as of now I'm just selecting the evaluation version. If you are having a product key, you can specify over here, and according to the product key it will automatically take your standard or enterprise version of SQL. But as of now I'm just specifying a free edition for this particular lab setup. That will suffice, and I will say next, and here I accept the license agreement. Next. Next, on the license terms we have already done that. Accept the statement and click next. We have already done that. On the next step, on Microsoft Update Wizard, click next. So we don't have to do anything over here. Next. Next screen also on product updates, click next. So as of now we are not doing any for any updates. I will say next. So it will install our setup files as a primary step, and you can see over here all the prerequisites pass except your Windows firewall. So I'm going to my control panel one more time, and I'm going to small icons, Windows firewall, and we need to disable this domain network also, which is on. So turn off. Okay, all three are off now. And now I will rerun this prerequisite, so it will pass and it will automatically go further. See over here. So next step is we don't require any Azure extension feature as for SQL, so we need to deselect that. So on Azure extension for SQL Server, deselect that option and click next. So I'm deselecting this one, and I will say next. Next is I'm selecting the feature which is a least required one, that is a database engine server. So database engine services is the least and the most common feature required for SQL Server. If you are an SQL administrator, you can select the others features also if you are absolutely sure which features to use and all. As of now I'm just using database engine because that is the only one required for our SEPM purpose. I'm selecting this one, database engine services, and by not selecting others it will fasten up my SQL Server performance also, right? So always select the features which are absolutely required for SQL. I'm talking about which are absolutely required, and go for your installation. So I will say next. So on the instance configuration, keep the default instance and click next. I don't have to change anything. Let it be a default instance MS SQL Server. I will say next. So next is on server configuration, verify all the values and click next. So here also I'm not changing anything. Let it be all the default values over here. Collection also the CP1 CIAS, this collection for SQL is okay. So I'm not changing anything over here. Let's say next. Next is on database engine configuration. Click on add current user and click next. So over here I'm just giving the current SSM admin as an authentication mode. I'll say add current user and next. So on ready to install wizard, click verify summary and click next. Okay, so here I'm verifying the summary. What are the features we have already selected and all these things, and this is the INF file which it is installing or it is saving as a default installation INF file. You can use this INF file for automated SQL installation also. How to use that automated installation through PowerShell for SQL Server, I have made one video on that also. You can refer to that video. As of now, we will just say install. So now it is actually installing our SQL Server features. So I will just pause my video for 5 minutes until this installation is completed, and then we will come back with the next step. So our SQL Server installation is just completed. Okay, let's see. So monitor the SQL installation process. We have already done that, and on complete window, verify that required features are installed successfully and click close. So I will click close, and as I said earlier, I will restart the machine also once, even though it is not asking for. So it should be our next step. Yes, the restart SEPM VM system after SQL installation. So that we have already initiated. Now go to the other user and SSM admin. Okay, so SQL installation has been done. Now next step is we need to install our Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So once restarted, log on to SEPM system with SSM admin account that we have done. Next is on SEPM server through D drive, which we have already mapped. Go to the SQL Management Studio folder and launch the SSMS setup enu.exe. That is our SQL Server Management Studio installation. So I'm going to SQL Management Studio and I'm launching this installation exe. And it's a simple installation. We need to click on install over here, and it will take another 5 minutes or so. So next step is we will monitor this particular installation. So it will take 5 to 10 minutes to install. So I'm pausing this video as of now. Once this is completed, I will come back. So our SQL Management Studio setup has been completed. Let's move on to the next step. What is the next step? The next step is, of course, click close once SQL Server Management Studio installation finishes. I will say close, and as I can guess, the next step should be restart the machine once. So restart SEPM VM system once. I'm restarting once. By the time it is restarting, we will see what could be the next step. So next step will be, we will go to the SQL Management Studio and we will log in with our current credential, that is your SSM admin, right? So first of all, I am logging with the SSM admin to the machine. And now through start, I will say SQL Server Tools, and here it is a new SQL Server Management Studio. Just dropping it to my taskbar. Open it. Now we need to log in to our SQL Server for some configuration. By the time it is launching, yes, it is launched. Okay. Now next step is, through SQL Server Management Studio, select the encryption level as optional and click connect. So this is a new feature added, I think, from SQL 2022, the encryption level. So we don't require that one as of now. So I will say optional and I will say connect. So I will tell you one small, I should say, bug or something like that. Why it is not getting connected? Because for the first time, after the fresh installation, the SQL service is not running. I'm damn sure about it. So you can see SQL Server, MS SQL Server. Although it is in automatic mode, it is not running, right? What I'm doing is, don't worry about this error. Okay, click OK. Let it be like this, and start your MS SQL service. I will say restart. Now you can see it is in running mode. Now it will connect. So once connected, let's move on to the next step. Next is, we need to configure our SQL Server for some better performances for memory management and then the SQL writes. So we need to right click the SQL Server, which is our host name, and click on properties. So our host name is SEPM, right click and click on properties, right? Next is on SQL Server properties page, we need to set the minimum and maximum memory usage for the SQL Server, and it should be preferably half of your system's memory, and click OK. So I will go to the memory, and you can see over here the minimum and maximum memory is out of logic over here. So our system memory, as I will show you, our system memory is 24 GB, right? So the best practice for this is, again I'm saying best practice, but it is not a hard and fast rule, but the best practice is, keep the minimum and maximum memory as same as half of your system's memory. So half memory of 24 GB is 12 GB. So whatever it is coming in MB, I think it is 1200 288, 12,288. But let's reconfirm. So 1024, sorry, 1024 into 12. See, 12,228. 12,288, sorry. So I'm just putting it 12,288. Again, same memory for maximum also. So it will not hamper your overall system's performance, because SQL will eat your memory like anything otherwise. So let it be like that, and I will say OK. This is the first configuration of our SQL Server. Now, as I said, the note will be, above step will ensure that SQL Server will not cross 12 GB memory limit, and Thus SEPM system's overall performance will not get affected. So welcome back. So let's move on to the next step. So the next step, from main SQL Management Studio screen, expand your security logins and then your SSM admin account, right click properties. So from the main SQL Management Studio, I will go to the security, expand it, go to the logins, expand it, and I will go to the properties of SSM admin. Right click and properties. Okay. So next is from login properties window, select your server roles and select the DB server roles as shown in the sideline figure and click OK. And further we will close our Management Studio window. Now over here I will go to the server roles, and whatever the roles are starting with the hash values, we need to ignore them, and the other roles I am just selecting. So this is ensuring that my SSM admin account is having all the necessary rights to my SQL database server. Okay, I will say close and I will close this. So as I said, above step will ensure that SSM admin account will have full server roles permission on our DB server. Okay. Next is on SEPM system, open your services console and locate the SQL server, MS SQL server service. Right click and go to the properties of this particular service. I will open the services console, and here there is a service called SQL server, MS SQL server. I will go to the properties of it. Now next step is click on log on and change the logon account from default NT service to our SSM admin account, and specify the SSM admin account's correct password. So I will go to the logon tab and I will change over here. I will just put the location as my entire directory. I will put the SSM admin. Sorry. And enter your SSM admin password. I will say apply. The account SSM admin has been granted as an logon service right. So I will say OK, OK, OK. And we need to restart this service once to take this new logon effect. So I will say restart. Okay. So this step is completed. So this is required for a proper communication between your SQL server and SEPM application, because SEPM is also having the SSM admin account credentials, right? So this is done. Let's move on to the next step. So we have already done this. We have already done the OK, and we have already restarted the service also, right? So restart the SQL service. This is also done. Next step is, now we need to reinstall our SEPM Management Server product. You may call it reinstallation, you may call it fresh installation, because we have wiped out our SEPM server completely. Okay, so map the SEPM Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager product ISO on SEPM VM system. So we'll close this, go to the file settings, the DVD, I will go to browse and I will go to SEPM, and this is my ISO SEPM 14.3. I'll say apply, OK. So next step is through SEPM server D drive SEPM folder, launch the setup.exe. So I will go to the Explorer, I will go to my D drive, and in the SEPM server there is a setup.exe. So you can just say yes. So it will start our SEPM Management Servers installation. So on SEPM installation wizard, make sure the first option, install the management server and console, is highlighted and click next. Okay, so let it load. It will take 1 minute or so. And now you can see it is asking to install our management server and console. I will say next. Next step is on license agreement page, accept the terms and conditions and click next. Well, accept the terms and condition. I will say next. Next is on destination folder page, review or change the installation destination folder by clicking browse and click OK and next. So as of now we don't require to change anything over here. Let it take the default path as C program files, but if you're installing it on a production environment, you can choose the other partition as D drive, E drive, whatever it could be. As of now I'm just selecting the default one, C drive, and I will say next. And now on ready to install wizard, click install. So I will say install. So it will install my management server, Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager management server. So it will take 5 to 10 minutes. So I am pausing this video as of now. Once this completes, I will come back to you with the next step. And now you can see the install management server and console is this particular phase is completed, and it is asking us for configuring our management server. So let's move on to the next step. So this we have already done, monitor the SEPM installation. The next step is verify that the install the management server and console phase is completed, and click next to continue with configure the management server phase, right? So we will go with it. Next we will now configure. So it will load that wizard for us, SEPM wizard. So next step is that only management server configuration wizard will load itself automatically. So this is done. Let's see. So next step is on the management server configuration wizard, select your preferable option, that is recovery configuration in this case, and click next. Now, if you remember in the previous parts, we have chosen the default configuration for a new SEPM installation. But now, since we are recovering our existing SEPM installation through backup and recovery, so I will choose the recovery configuration, right? Now what are the options? The default configuration is for less than 500, so that is fine. And the custom configuration is if you are more than 500 machines. And the last option which we are using as of now is a recovery configuration to recover the previously installed SEPM configuration, right? So next step is we need to click on browse once we select that recovery configuration, and select your disaster recovery file from below location. Which location? So if you remember that location, we have saved our disaster recovery file, right? That zip file, and click next. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on browse, and here, so it is not taking that way, no problem. So what we will do is manually go SEPM backup, and here this particular folder disaster recovery and this recovery. Now it is not showing our extension and all, so what I will do is go to the options. This is a bit of a tricky part, but it's fine. Show done and hide extensions and zip file. What I need to do is first of all copy this path, okay, up to the recovery file. Let's see if it is taking. Yes, and now you can choose your recovery file, right? Zip. So it will take the entire path. Make sure that you are giving the path not up to the folder but up to the file. So the zip file, okay, and now I will say next. So next is I need to select the option as install my first site option and click next. So install my first site and click next. Next is verify SEPM port matrix and installation folder destination and click next. So again, the port matrix is default one, don't change anything. Server data folder is this one, by default it is taking, but if you want to change for the production, you can change from C drive to D drive or some other partition. As of now, I'm not changing anything. I will say next. So now it is actually configuring our recovery files installation, the previously one, right? By the time it is loading, yes, it is already loaded. So now let's move on to the next step. So next is select your Microsoft SQL Server database and click next. Okay. By default, if you are having less than 500 machines, SEPM is taking SQL Express database as a default one. But we don't want to use that. We want a dedicated database server. So we will choose Microsoft SQL Server, which is installed on this machine only. Okay. So this is a lab setup. For production, you may have another machine with a dedicated database, or you can choose your SQL Express database also if you want to. But for this lab setup, I am choosing Microsoft SQL Server database. I will say next. Now next step is we need to select the create a new database option and click next. Now when I was preparing for this video, I was having one question which I want to share with you guys, that if I'm using an existing database, means the recovered one, if you remember we have taken the backup of our recovered database, why should I choose this create new database option? Why can't I use the use existing database? But somehow I found a way that as of now for installation purpose we will create a new database. Once the installation complete, we will import our existing database, so it will overwrite it. So this is a better option. Okay, so choose this option, create a new database as of now, and say next. So next is select the following options. So authentication type is Windows authentication. Then Windows username will be our SSM CB and then SSM admin, and then password will be our SSM admin password, right? So let's move on to this one, Windows authentication, right? Windows username I need to give as SSM CB / SSM admin. Okay, so SSM CB dot local, let's see whether it is taking, and then SSM admin. Okay, and now I will say Windows user's password is SSM admin password. Okay, this is my password, right? And next is click on connect database. Don't click on next. First we need to click on connect database and then we need to click on no also. So first I will say connect database. It will use this username and password as an Windows authentication. So I will say connect database. Okay, that's fine. I will say what could be the error. Just a minute. Okay, so I'm just re-entering this one. My domain name I was entering incorrectly. SECMCB lab / SECM admin, and then I will put SECM password. So let's say now it is connecting or not. Yes. So now it is giving some warning that you need to use the TLS and all. We don't require that security feature as of now. So I will click no over this. And then once we are saying next, it will ask for one more feature for file stream. So I will say yes. So I found some of the very confusing, what do you say, prompts, or click yes or no, what to do, what to not to do, and all these things in SEPM especially. Sorry to say that, but I found a way how to go further. So next is again some warning. If you select authenticate and with Windows authentication, you need to every time you need to change the password, you need to re-authenticate and all. So I will say yes over there. That's fine for me. So on the next page, we need to specify the company name, then admin password and email address, and click next. So I'm just giving the company name as you can give your company name, whatever. Admin username, password will be my admin password. Okay. Email address will be my official email address or whatever. So as of now I'm just giving this email ID. I'm just giving a dummy email ID for this particular video projection purpose, but you should give the proper official email ID, because all the reports, all the notifications, all the primary communication through SEPM server will be getting delivered to your email ID. So this should be your proper email ID, right? So next is, again it is giving us some prompt. I don't know, SEPM is very fond of giving prompts after prompts. So click no to send the test mail confirmation, because it is asking us to send a test mail, but this is a dummy address. So I will skip this particular step and I will say you did not choose to validate email. Do you want to send a test mail? No. Right? This is the optional, this one. So next is specify the encryption password for client communication and click next. Now, why this particular option is dehighlighted? I cannot give the password also. Why? Because we are recovering from the existing installation. We have given the recovery file, right? So this encryption password is already been defined in the previous installation. So make sure you are actually remembering that encryption password, right? So I will say next over here. Next step is also a optional one. Specify your partner information and click next. As of now, I don't have to specify anything. I'm skipping this. I will say next. Next is choose the option whether you want to send your data for the server data collection to the Symantec. I will choose not to send and I will say next. Okay. Now you can see the database is been created and initialized, and depending on your environment and bandwidth, it can take time to complete. Now it is building a new database. Okay, but remember we are doing this disaster and recovery. So we will, in the next step, we will recover the existing database also. That is an upcoming step. So as of now, it will take 5 to 10 minutes. So I am just pausing my video. Once this is completed, I will come back to you with the next step. So now it is about to complete 100%. It is completed. And now it has completed, and it is asking us to launch the Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager, right? So let's move on to the next step. So this step we have already done. The monitor the SEPM database creation process. This is completed, and click on finish to complete the SEPM installation and configuration and to launch the SEPM, that is your Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager console, right? So this option you can deselect and manually launch it, but let it be like this. I will say finish. Now close other windows, not required. And now this particular management console has been launched. Now we need to log in. So for the first time on SEPM Semantic Console, provide your admin account credentials, which we have specified in step number, the previous step, and click on log on. So I will give admin. I will say 16. My admin account password. So remember, we have recovered our previously SEPM server, but we have created a new database. Now it's important to understand, once we are creating a new database, there will be no entries for the previous clients. So if you remember, our original SEPM was having 4 clients, but as of now it is showing 0 clients. Okay, because we have not imported our original database, right? So we will do that. So don't worry about this. We will do step by step, right? So we have logged in with our admin account, right? So next step is review getting started task and click close, that we have already done, right? Now next is through SEPM server, go to the services and stop Semantic Endpoint Server Manager service. Okay, so I will go back here and I will say log off, and I will close this first. Let it close, and I will go to the services console and I will go to the Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager, not launcher, manager service. So you can see over here manager, right? this service is running, so I am stopping it as of now. This is the step required to re-import our database before re-importing. So next is through SEPM server, click start, then Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager folder, and then database backup and restore. Okay. So I will click on start. Then your Semantic Endpoint Protection Manager, and there is an option database backup and restore. Click on that, say yes. Now you can see one window has come. So it is giving us option backup, restore, test connection or exit. Okay. So next is on database backup and restore screen, click on restore because we are restoring our previous original database. So I will say restore. So all settings in the current database will be lost. Are you sure you want to restore the database? Because it will overwrite the database. I will say yes. So the same thing, click yes on restore database page. So I will say yes. So restoring database. Now it is asking me for the select the backup file, right? So on select the backup file, provide the backup location and double click on the zip file as shown in the sideline figure. So if you remember, we have taken the backup on our Windows 2022 server, DC server. So SEPM backup and database. So this path I will copy over here. Let's see if it is taking that path. It should. Yes. And now in the database, just double click on this zip file. Okay. And it will directly start restoring your database. Right. So this will take several minutes. By the time it is restoring, we'll see what will be our next step. So monitor the database restoration process. So it is restoring our database over here. So it will take another 5 to 10 minutes. So I am pausing this video as of now. Once this completes, then I will come back to you with the next step. So as you can see, the database has been restored successfully. It has not taken more than a minute. It was very fast. So now you must reconfigure your server and restore the key store from the console. So it is giving us the direction what we need to do next in order to recover the management server. So we need to just click on OK, but let's go back to our PowerPoint. So note down the successful database restoration message for SEPM server and configuration and click OK. So I will say click OK. Okay. So our database has been restored, but now we need to reconfigure our server in order to work with that backup, database backup and all. So the next step will be on management server configuration wizard. It will automatically launch. Welcome page, click browse and provide previously backed up recovery files path as shown in the sideline figure. Right. So as you can see, this wizard has already been opened automatically. So I will choose this option, reconfigure the management server, right, and use a recovery file to restore the communication with the previously deployed clients, right. So what is our recovery file? By default it is taking C program files, but we will not use it because we have already taken a backup on a different location, right. Let's go back over here and you can see over here it is a backup location over here what I have specified. So I will go back to my backup location, one step, and I will go to the disaster recovery file. Right now here I need to copy this path, the whole path. First of all I need to delete this one whole path. and then again specify the path, and I will now give this file name also .zip, right? This way you need to give the complete path up to the file level, right? And I will say next. So again it will verify the SEPM port matrix and installation folder destination and click next. So this is the default values all. I will say next. By the time it is loading, let's move on to the next step. As I said at the beginning, this may be a longer video, but this will be useful for you. So next step is on database usage page, click next. So as I said, why it is not giving us any option, everything is dehighlighted, Microsoft SQL database dehighlighted, because we are restoring the previous configuration. So by default it is taking the previous configuration. I will say next. Again I have to specify the next step, I have to specify the SEPM admin password. So on database server authentication page, enter SEPM admin account password and click next. So again I have to specify the password, and I will say next. Again it is giving same kind of prompts, TLS security and all. So here I need to click on no on warning page. Remember every window, so TLS to connect to SQL servers, I will say no as of now. Again it will ask for the authentication using, you must run the management server configuration wizard each time after you change your Windows password, right? So on that particular window I need to click yes. So I will say yes. So next is select your preferable option for server data collection. So and click next. So I will deselect as of now. It is already deselected. I will say next. And now it will now create our existing database, because we have re-imported the existing database. It will not take that much time. So let it complete. By the time we will move on to the next step. So again monitor the SEPM server database restoration process that we are doing as of now. And finally, once this is done, we need to click on finish to launch the SEPM console, right? It is about to complete in a minute or so. Now it has completed. It is asking us for the finish. So I will click on finish. It will automatically launch our SEPM console, right? So click on finish to launch the SEPM console. That we have done. Let's see. Yes, it has launched our SEPM console, right? Let's move on to the next step. Now here, since we have recovered our original configuration, we need to log into the console with our SEPM admin account, not the admin account, right? So I'm just giving the username SEPM admin and password. So now you can see our SEPM Management Console is launched. Now you can see the total endpoints. It is showing us 4. Why? Because we have recovered our database and we have recovered our original recovery file, right? So it is showing us the 4 machines. Okay, it will refresh itself with the latest status of our endpoints, but this is the first time, that's why it is showing some grayed out portions over here. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So on getting started page, click close. So we have already done that. Now our recovery is still not completed. Okay, there are still some steps which we need to follow in order to complete the complete recovery. Okay, so next step is on SEPM main console, click on admin and then import the server properties. Okay, if you remember, we have done our server properties also. Now what are the server properties? That is your server settings, your policy settings, your schedules, your reports, everything from the original configuration. So I will click on admin, I will click on servers. Just a minute, let me see, admin, and on the servers I need to click on the management server, that is SEPM, and I will select the import server properties over here. Now remember, in the servers it will show both the servers. First one is your management server, you can see over here, and second one is your database server, right? So we need to go to the management server over here, and I will say import server properties. Okay, again it is asking for the path for the XML file, right? So next step is on import server properties window, provide the path as below. Which path? So we have already taken the backup on our server, the network path, right? So what I will do is, I go back here, you can see over here there is a folder called server settings. We have created all those folders previously, right? So I will give this path, copy, paste it here, enter, and now double click on this XML, right? So it will ask, are you sure you want to import the server properties from this XML? So obviously I will say yes, but let's go back to our PPT first and click yes and OK on confirmation page. So I will say over here first yes, it will import the semantic endpoint protection. I imported the server properties. I will say OK, right? The next step is on SEPM main console, verify that it's showing all the previously deployed clients and its status now. Now we have seen in the previously that it was showing the clients but not with the latest status. So what I will do is, I will go back to the home page and I will refresh it. Let's see if it is showing something. It is taking some time because it is importing this thing, but it's fine. So I will log off once. Let's see. Close this one also, and again we will relaunch our endpoint protection manager console. SEPM admin, log on. I will say accept always. Again getting started, I will say close. Okay, so as of now we have imported our server settings. Let's move on to the next step. So as I said previously, it was not showing any client as such. It is showing now 4 clients, right? Next is provide internet access to SEPM server, right? So I will provide it. To the network properties, change adapter, and this one which was disabled, I will say enable. It will come in a minute. By the time we will see the next step. So next step is through main SEPM console, click on help and getting started page to launch the menu. So I close this, click on help, and I will say getting started page, right? Because we need to run some of the options from the getting started page. This is how you can manually launch it. So next is on getting started page, click on run live update now option. Since now we are having internet access, you can see over here. So now once you provide the internet access, I will click on run live update now, right? This is a manual way to do it, but if you have specified the live update frequency, it should automatically run on that particular schedule also, right? But as of now, for this lab purpose, I am running it manually. Okay, so run live update now. It will ask what to download. All these virus definitions and updates. Click download to start the live update download session. So it will download all these ones. So I will say download. As of now, I will say close over here, and you can see the show live update status already been launched. Okay, so live update has been launched, download started. So it will launch itself, it will give all the information about your live update sessions summary or whatever the current status it is. Okay, so now you can see over here successfully downloaded the virus and spyware definitions. Now you can see the live update session is succeeded. Okay, live update finish running, live update succeeded. So this is done, right? I will say close over here. Let's move on to the next step. So monitor the live update download status that we have already done, right? So live update succeeded. Click close once live update session completes. This is also done, right? Let's move on to the next step now. So on SEPM server system, logged on with the SSM admin, open the services console. I'll minimize this and open the services console on SEPM. The next step is select remote registry service, right click, properties, make it automatic, apply and start it, and make sure service status is running at the end. Why do we require this particular step? Because now we need to deploy our SCP client on our SEPM server also, right? And through automatic deployment option or remote push option. So as of now you can see there is no SCP client on this machine SEPM, right? Because we have formatted this machine. So I will go to the services and I will go to the remote registry. You can see over here this is automatic but it is not running. So I will go on to the properties, make sure it is automatic, and I will start it. Now it is started, right? Remote registry. Close this. So next is through SEPM server, main SEPM console, clients, my company, default group, SEPM hostname, right click and say install client, or you can say install client. Now I will go to the console, I will go to the clients, go to the default group, and you can see the SEPM is showing offline, and then your Win10 and other things are also showing offline, right? So let's see how we can make it online first of all, and then we will install our SEPM server over here, right? So I have just refreshed this server. I have restarted once so that it will refresh this status, and now the previous 3 clients are showing online, right? Why this is showing offline? Because it is not having any client installed, right? Now I want to share one more thing to you guys. Previously when I was preparing for this video, it was showing the 2 entries over here. One SEPM was a older one SEPM it is a newer one, but as of now it is showing only one, so that's fine. So let's move on to the next step. So what we need to do is, on the SEPM hostname, we need to install the SEP client. So I will choose the option as install a client. So I will choose this SEPM and I will say install a client. So I need to select the new package deployment, next, new package deployment, and say next. Select the default options for installing SEPM package and say next. So default options are like Windows client and full protection for clients. There is one more interesting feature is available, full protection for servers. So you can choose that also if you are actually running file servers, Active Directory servers, or the servers operating systems with a dedicated server role. But as of now I'm not selecting that option. I'm selecting client because my SEPM server is not Microsoft server as a feature. You can understand my point. So full protection for clients will suffice for me. So as of now I'm selecting that one, and rest of the options are default. I will say next. So select remote push for installing SEPM package and click next. So I'm selecting remote push and I will say next. So now it will search for my network, but by default it will not take any machine. I don't know why, but let's see. By the time it is searching, let's move on to the next step. So in the client deployment wizard, computer selection page, click find computers and enter the network IP address range and click OK. So you can see it's some error, that's fine, we can ignore this. I will say search network. I will click on find computers and IP address range, and what is our IP address is 10.1.1.1 and then 10.1.1.254. This is our IP address range. I will say OK over here, and now it will give me the available machines. You can see over here all the machines it has found with the specific network range, right? So these are my private machines, so I don't want to install anything over here. What I want to install, on SEPM server, that is my SEP client. So I will select only that one, right? Because other machines are already having SEP client. And now next step is select intended SEPM system and click on right arrow icon to edit that system for the client push installation. So I will select SEPM and I will click on this. It will ask me for the username password, right? So provide the SCCM admin account credentials and click OK. So I will click on SCCM admin password, domain sccmcb lab.local. I will say OK. Now you can see it is unprotected. That means the antivirus is not installed. Okay. So it is added now. I will say next. So this step we have already seen. Once SEPM hostname successfully added to right corner for SEP remote push installation, click next. This is already done. Next is on client remote push deployment wizard, click on install semantic client and click on send. Okay. So this is our install semantic endpoint protection client. I will say send. So now it is remotely sending my package to my SEPM server, right? You can see over here it will say the status successful now. See, okay. So on client remote push deployment wizard, deployment summary page, review remote push client installation status as successful and click next. Next. And the installation files were sent to computers that you have selected, right? So on client deployment wizard complete page, click finish. So I will say finish. Now in some time it will automatically ask for the restart after the SEP client installation. Okay. So next step is log off and close the SEPM console and restart SEPM system once. Once it is asking for us. Okay. So as of now, you can see I think the installation has already been started. You can see over here, yes, it requires restart, right? So I will log off from here, close this, and it is asking for the restart, right? So I will say restart now. Let it restart. It is just restarting our SEPM server. Now I will log in with the SCCM admin account. Now we have restarted the machine. Let's move on to the next step. So verify after some time that SAP client is updated on SEPM and all other systems, right? So we will see we have run the live update session, right? And the virus definition should be of 31st of December on every machine. So let's see, this is my Windows 11 CL machine, right? I will double click on it. So yes, it is showing 30 December. So let's see, it will update in some time. I'm pausing this video. Once this is updated, let's see how much time it is taking. It will take 10 to 15 minutes. Once this is updated automatically, I will come back to you. Okay, so there is a simple option over here. Right click this your SAP client and say update policy. So it will automatically forcefully get the latest policy. So as of now, you can see over here it is showing the correct 31st December's virus and spyware definition protection updates, right? So this is the same status for other 3 clients also, right? Win10 CL also. Okay, 31st December, and then your DC also. It is still not there. Okay, let's see if I'm doing this as update policy. It should come by the time I'll go to my SEPM machine. Open. Here it is showing 31st December, right? So sooner or later it will come to my DC also, right? Yeah, accidentally close SEPM console also. So let's open this. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Now, as I said, this step I have included because previously it was showing 2 SEPM entries on my SEPM console. So I have to delete the older one. So through SEPM server, SEPM console clients, delete the old SEPM hostname entry. Now this may be possible in your production scenario. You can see over here the screenshot was taken. One SEPM was the latest one which is online and one is the older one. But when I am doing the recovery again for this video purpose, it was not showing. So I don't know why. But anyways, it was showing, that's why I have just included this step. But this step is not necessary for us because it was not showing duplicate entries as of now. So let's move on to the next step. Now the last step, we need to recover our licenses, right? So through SEPM main console, click on admin licenses, and under the task menu we can go to the activate license, and then we need to choose the I have a Symantec license file option, right? Restore the SEPM licensing.slf files from the previously backed up folder. We have done the backup on license 6 folder, if you remember. Okay, so what I will do is I will just show you up to the mark where I should be. So I am just opening the manager console. Okay, so close this one. You can see slowly but surely it is showing you the status. But out of 5 total endpoints. So again, as I said, now it has updated with our clients entries, and you can should see over here how it is playing a game with us. Now it is showing the older SEPM entry after the server is start. Shit. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to delete this particular entry, because our real entry is this one, right? All the other entries are real ones, but the previous one, the SEPM, was not a real one, right? So I will refresh one more time, and now what I will do is I will delete this entry. So before deleting, let's move on to our previous step. And you can see the previous step was telling us to delete this one. So through SEPM server system, SEPM console, clients, delete old SEPM hostname entry. So what I will do is I will right click this, and as you can see the last time status change also, through which also you can find out the other clients have been updated recently, but this one was one day before something. So this is a older one. So I will right click it and I will say delete and say yes. Okay, so now all the clients are showing online, correct? Okay, now let's move on to the next step for the license activation. So again, for the license activation through SEPM main console, click on admin and then licenses. So I will go to main SEPM console, SEPM console, admin, and I will click on licenses. Right, and here the option for this is under task menu, click on activate license. So I will click on activate license, and here I will say I have a license file. So restore your SEPM licensing.slf file from the previously backed up folder, that is your Windows 2000 DC SEPM backup licenses folder. So if I am choosing this option, I have a license file, and I will say next, and I will say add a file, and I will go back to my Windows DC path, SEPM backup and licenses. Now you can see all the SLF files are there. Okay, so I will give this path first of all, and you can choose all the files one by one and recover your licenses. This is how you can recover your licenses. Okay, I'll cancel this, come back to this one, right? So thank you all for watching this particular video. This is the host from the Swaroop IT Solutions. If you like, please share and subscribe to our channel. Please share this video to maximum of your colleagues, to your friends, and do subscribe to this particular channel. Thanks all and have a good day. Happy New Year.